microphones muted during our presentation, and as you can see, also a registration of this workshop has been started. So those who don't agree with the registration, of course, can leave the meeting. So I would give the floor to Matteo for a first presentation of the Klimaboro project. Please, Matteo, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for being here with us. I'll try to give you a short overview of the project, really short, to make sure that we don't lose too much time, if I can put it. Don't lose too much time as the purpose of today's workshop is mostly to talk about the procurement. But let's try to give you a small update or a small overview on what is the project about and what is the context. First, I'd like to just mention that as the colleagues here, Besnik and Francesco, represent ANCI Toscana. For the non-Italians one, ANCI Toscana is the regional association of cities in Tuscany. To make it easy, Florence as the example that you probably all know. And we represent mostly 280 cities in the region. In this case, we are the coordinator of this project. This project that is called Klimaboro, and that is part of the Climate Neutral and Smart Cities mission. You see here the 100 cities. We're not part of this picture of the 100 cities. That's why it's there. We are part. The mission is divided in two. One is about the cities and creating their environmental plans and so on. On the other side, you have projects that move in parallel, and one of them is ours. And we are in the framework of urban planning and design. I mean, the urban planning and design. Then we go on the fields. The others are more on mobility, transports. We are more orientated to a more flat vision of the fields in which we will have the deployment of solutions. You will see that, and this is why also it's interesting for you. Then just to give you an idea of the project in its dimension, we work with 14 cities. We work with 14 cities with a scheme of followers and of leaders and followers. What does it mean? That we have cities that are doing and deploying solutions right now. There are the cities that you will be more orientated to in this period because they are the ones that are involved in this standard. But we have some others that will come later on and will support replicating the process that these cities are working on today. This is important because it's also to show all of you that there will be more occasions later on, and to show you how the project and the idea of participating with us to this project is to get part of a community of cities. That means that you will be working mostly on, the winners will be mostly working on a solution, a particular solution, or more, but according to the cities, and Francesco will explain this. But you will be driven to work with cities that are connected to other cities, giving much more visibility to your solution, also to potential, let's say, customers later on. We divided the cities into groups according to the fields, because we will be working on one side on isolated energy and mobility, on the other side more on waste and circularity. That are two arguments that are extremely different. And our main objectives are mostly to then define a community of cities working on climate neutrality issues, and finding a business model with startups and companies with cities. This is very important. That's what the tender is also about. And then we will have, let's say, in the two hubs with different mechanisms that I'm not going too deep in, will be represented by at least 10 cities each. and we will be working also in trying to increase that. Then having solutions showcased in one of those cities will open you to be visible to a number of cities that will be then working together. And I'll show you in a few seconds also how they will be working together somehow, or at least the process that we will be going through. But the idea of the project is mostly that today we don't lack technology. We have a lot of technologies that are out there. They are part of maybe startups, research centers have a lot to give, but they often struggle to meet cities. And that's what we have to try to do, is to close the gap between those. And at the same time, we need to drive behavioral change. But to drive behavioral change, somehow we need also to close the gap within cities and citizens, making sure that at the end, you close the gap between solution providers and citizens. This is very important, and that's fundamental, because it's not anymore a doubt, but today what we lack is the use of technology. We have a lot, but we are unable to deploy them. Now, I'm sorry, there is someone needs to be muted. Now, then to somehow close and to understand you, where is the public procurement involved in? I mean, you have a cycle that we somehow imagine for every city that goes from the definition of challenges, the one that you find in the innovative procurement, to go to the phase in which we are right now. Then we have the innovative procurement ongoing, and you are here for that. And then once we will be over with this one, we will have awarded the solutions. We will have the development of this, the deployment of the solution that will be have been selected in the various cities, and then we will have the definition of an evaluation. I mean, understanding how do those solutions stay in the landscape of cities, and how does this work, and how can this help in reducing, improving carbon neutrality in cities, and how does this link to the urban planning framework. And then once done that, we try to restart this cycle, doing what? With the leader cities that you've seen earlier, coaching the follower cities, and supporting them in restarting that cycle over and over again, hopefully quicker, hopefully with the market that is closer to cities. Okay, now this is really a short description of the project, making sure that you can somehow try to understand, but Francesco in particular will explain parts of that, in particular also this division by hubs with division by fields, in which you will see also the name of the cities associated to them. Then it's a bit useless that we do it twice. What I can say that if for following our project closely, what is very important is following our LinkedIn account and our newsletter. And to subscribe to our newsletter, it's enough to connect to our website for the first time. You will there will be a pop-up coming up and asking for just adding your email. In this way, you will be receiving information quite often. Consider that we try to send a newsletter per month, and in particular, the newsletter will be useful also to spread the word around the tender, and everything is connected to it, obviously. Then from my side, it's fine. If there is no questions, obviously. And in case I leave the floor to Francesco directly, or Besnik, I don't know which one.
Thank you, Matteo. Yeah, I'd avoid questions in this stage, and I'd go directly with the presentation of the call for tender from Francesco. Please, Francesco, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Now going to the slides. I hope you can see them. Now they are in full screen.
Perfect.
Few slides just as a reminder. So in case there are questions from your side on specific topics mentioned in any of the following slides, feel free to interrupt me so we can make it more interactive during this workshop. My task is to summarize the key aspects and especially the upcoming deadline of this call you should be familiar with, published on the official journal of the European Union in the special section dedicated to public procurement on the 18th of October, with a budget of 2.4 million euros, divided in 8 lots, 300,000 euros maximum per lot. The documentation can be downloaded from this link. You can see on the left-hand side, the submission platform will be presented with a simulated case by Besnik Mehmeti after me. And there is a very rich collection of questions and answers, which I recommend you reading in case you haven't done it yet. The 8 hubs, as Matteo was mentioning, are divided in 2 groups, which we named hubs. So there are 8 lots, but basically 4 lots per each hub. The common trait of the first 4 lots or group of cities is their interest in energy and mobility related topics. The common trait of the other 4 cities belonging to the second hub is their interest in waste management, circularity, and related topics. But of course, to get to know more about the details of the city challenges, there is a specific document, attachment 2, which I recommend you reading carefully for each and every lot you are interested in bidding for. There is also additional information you can take benefit from, including contacts with companies and research institutions that participated in these 8 open events, named preliminary market consultations in July this year. At that time, there was no published call. There was not even a draft of the call. The purpose of those events was to share the details of the challenges, which haven't changed much between July and now, with prospective participants in a future call for tender. As you can see from the figures, participation was huge. We received also 87 proposals for possible solutions, some of which are covered by business confidentiality. Globally, they were very inspiring for us, although the direction taken from the call for tender is not exactly the same as the direction that many of these participants wanted it to take. But nevertheless, you can download this collection of documents from our website and maybe get in touch with solution providers who are not planning to participate in this call and join forces with them. There are 5 phases for this competition. It is quite a complex pathway. I will try to simplify it as much as possible. The first phase we are now living is the phase of candidature. This means that every economic operator having the right, the entitlement to candidate can supply a short list of documents and ask us is ANCI Toscana, introduced previously by Matteo, the procurer, the procuring entity of this call. Ask us to be invited to submit an offer. The deadline for this activity is the 30th of November, in 10 days from today. I can already announce that there will be no extension of this deadline. It is a hard deadline. On the other hand, as we will tell you later, the overall amount of administrative activities related to fulfilling the requirements of the first phase is quite mild. What you will have to do is basically to fill in a single document, which is named EPSD, ESPD, European Single Procurement Document, which is basically an Excel file, and upload it to the submission platform together with some accompanying documentation. It's not a task for half an hour, but it's probably a task for half a day. And so there's plenty of time, even if you are starting today. Then what will happen is that we will select up to 6 economic operators per each of the 8 lot, so 48 economic operators globally, and we will invite them to phase 2 of competition, which is when they will have to submit a technical proposal, a proposal for a solution meeting the requirements of the specific challenge identified in the specific lot you have been invited to bid for. In the next couple of months, what will happen is that we will negotiate the technical offer with you. In fact, I didn't mention the existence of a financial offer. At this stage, there is no financial offer, no price, only the indication of a collection of features for the solution proposed by you to fulfill the requirements of the challenge. A negotiation means a phase of dialogue between us and each and every participant aimed at enhancing the positive aspects of the technical offer and removing those aspects that are of no interest for us or for the city in question. This should help simplify, streamline the contents of the technical offer and pave the way to the 3rd phase, where the technical offer will have to be resubmitted together with a price, with a financial offer. From that moment on, the call will resemble any call for tender you have been involved in previously. There will be an evaluation committee comparing the received proposals in terms of quality versus price. We expect to be able to award the call by the end of April. We have a tight schedule because of our commitments with the European Union, and to sign the contract with each of the winning solution providers by the end of May. For each lot, we expect to select 2 solution providers, the best 2 in terms of quality versus price ratio. With them, we will sign 2 independent contracts per each lot. That makes 16 contracts overall. We will pay an advance payment at the contract signature, and we will hopefully start a period of mutual collaboration, not only with us, but also with the representatives of the city in question for a period which cannot exceed 12 months. So the end of the deployment phase is located roughly at the end of May 2025. The economic operators who can participate are those residing in the countries listed in this document here, basically the countries associated with the European Union in the framework of the Horizon Europe program, also including Switzerland and the UK. Participation is possible as single candidates, or in association with other entities. These entities can be either private or public, it can be SMEs, large enterprises, R&D institutions, even natural persons, provided they possess
Ja nie wiem, że ktoś za to nagrała.
a valid VAT number. There are very many forms of association which can be foreseen. One is the consortium, another one is the looser form of temporary grouping or temporary association. And there are still other cases like the engagement of additional companies like sister companies, mother companies, subcontractors, which are not bound by any type of consortium-like or grouping-like relation. Each of the entities involved in any form of grouping or association must repeat the same procedure that Besnik Mehmeti will very quickly illustrate to you after my speech. That is to upload the AES-PD and a number of relevant attachments to the platform. So to summarize, what we have on our website, which you can download, is the call for tenders, the contract notice published on TED, the official journal of the European Union, and two annexes. One annex is Annex 2, which is not mentioned here. It is simply the guide to the usage of the submission platform. And the other annex is Annex 1, which contains 12 attachments. For today, the attachments that are relevant are those that are not bared in this slide. This is not to say that you shouldn't read also the other documents. For example, attachment 2, which I mentioned earlier, as the collections of the specific requirements in the 8 cities, is certainly worth reading because it will help you decide whether you would like to participate in one specific lot of this call, knowing that you can also participate to more than one, even to all the 8 lots, and the only condition is to repeat for 8 times the same procedure described in the Annex 2 through the electronic submission platform. But the really relevant documents for this phase, which is phase 1, the candidature phase, are those that are not barred in this slide. The privacy notice, which is the explanation of how we will handle the personal data you will be uploading to us. The AES-PD template, where we have this comment to make that we spotted a mistake thanks to one of your fellow participants or candidates. We spotted a mistake, and so we uploaded a new edition of the Excel file to the website. So make sure that you are working on the most recent edition downloaded after November the 8th. We have an informed consent form referring to the privacy notice, which has to be signed. We have the request for participation. We have the appointment of the authorized representative of a consortium or other form of grouping in case you decide to participate through a consortium. But I repeat, all the members of the consortium must upload the documents independently. And then, as Besnik Mehmeti will explain, you will have ways to reconnect your separate applications to a single one. And finally, there is the Europass template, which you may want to use in case you decide to upload a number of CVs for the people participating in your team, and that has to be confirmed in case the contract is awarded. So don't lose time in uploading the CVs of people who will never participate in the actual implementation of the contract, because this is one of the cases when we can revoke the award of the contract if you don't have satisfactory explanations, like, for example, this person left the company and we cannot do anything in that case. But apart from cases of so-called force majeure, please make sure that the CVs of the staff or even in-house consultants you decide to upload corresponds to the team that we will see in phase at the time the implementation starts. All these documents must be uploaded to the submission platform. Now, in the remaining part of my presentation, and always hoping to be stopped by your questions, I will go very quickly through the requirements of the candidature phase, which are related to the goal of this phase. As I already mentioned, we cannot predict how many participants will candidate to the different lots of this call for tender. What we have decided is to limit to 6 the number of economic operators, either single or associate, whom we will invite to the next phase, that is to present an offer by the end of January. In order to downsize the number of received applications to 6 per lot, we will have to make a selection. And so it is of your best interest to upload sufficient documentation to help us verify what your profile is in terms of economic operator, in terms of suitability to pursue this activity as a professional activity, in terms of economic and financial standing, in terms of technical and professional ability. The following slides are all cut and paste from the Annex 1 to the call for tender, so there is no news here, but it is important to bear in mind that this is the approach that we will be following to evaluate the received candidatures in the case they exceed the minimum number or the maximum number of 6. First, in terms of professional activity or suitability to pursue the professional activity, the very basic requirements we will verify are listed in this bulleted list. For natural persons, we will check, based on their declarations, if they have evidence of holding a VAT number. For those being legally established companies, we will require a certificate of registration in a business register, such as a Chamber of Commerce. And for public sector organizations, we will ask for the copy of the law of establishment or equivalent document in the original language, accompanied by a short summary in English, and also the declaration on the existence or not of a VAT number validated for intra-community transactions. The existence or not of VAT number is not a requisite for the evaluation, but the existence of a copy of the law of establishment is. In the case some of you may not fulfill some of these requirements, these are very trivial, but the same rule applies also to the next requirements. This is where the option of creating an association or a temporary grouping with other co-applicants becomes valuable. We are trying to be as open and inclusive as possible, but of course, like I said, we will have to make a ranking of received applications. So in case you individually consider difficult to achieve these minimum requirements, which will be clearer also on the financial side and the capacity side in the next couple of slides, my warm recommendation is to join forces with other economic operators, including some of those who participated in the preliminary market consultations of last July. Speaking in terms of economic and financial standing, what will be used to verify the eligibility is to consider the annual turnover and the so-called solvency ratio. The annual turnover is obvious. The solvency ratio is the ratio between total equity and total assets. This information, these two pieces of information must be uploaded in the ESPD, and possibly, but it's not mandatory as we will have time to do our checks, possibly accompanied by evidence, documentary evidence. For example, you might decide to put only the turnover in the most recently available financial year, and then at a later stage send us the balance sheet. Or you can simply upload the balance sheet together with the information concerning the turnover. Same goes for the calculation of the financial ratio, the solvency ratio, which also requires the usage of balance sheet data. If the applicant relies on other entities, all the turnovers and all the other financial figures will be summed up. And so we will unify the definition of the economic and financial standing requirements. There are minimum thresholds in this case, which are 150,000 euros for the turnover and 5% of the for the solvency ratio. All that exceeds the minimum turnover of 150,000 euros and the minimum solvency ratio of 5%, all that exceeds these two figures will be used for the ranking of received candidatures. For the technical and professional ability, we have three options. The minimum is to submit information concerning at least one of these three bulleted or numbered points. I have a question from Yannis Tsampoulakis, please.
Hello, yes. Oh, you pronounced it correctly. Thank you for that. So I wanted to, if possible, to clarify if for each participant, if we form a consortium, let's say, or a group, name it whatever, would you like to have each participant above 150,000 or in summary, in total?
No. There can be 10 participants with 1,000 euros turnover each. That makes 10,000 euros. And then Microsoft comes in with their billions of turnover, and it is perfectly okay if the grouping is made in this way.
Okay, perfect. So that all of them together, you summarize?
All of them together, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
No problem. So going to the technical and professional ability, there are three options. The minimum requirement is to fulfill at least one of these 3 points. Point 3A is about having delivered a similar service in the years 22 or 23. Again, this information must be provided in the ESPD, and then we will see whether you have also uploaded verification of this information, or we will ask at a later stage. Second option is to upload the CVs of the key employees. In this case, it's not enough that you mention these employees or staff members or in-house consultants in the ESPD. We want to see the CVs. The third option is to upload evidence of patents, qualifications, market recognitions in the same field of the lot we are talking about. notice that, for example, if you decide to participate in two lots, one pertaining to energy, the other pertaining to waste, you should be in possession of two distinct pieces of evidence, one for energy and one for waste management. Or if you only have one for waste management, option 3C will not be viable for you in the lot of energy. You will have to choose another option. Anastasios Athanasopoulos, please.
Yes, good evening. Regarding the option 3A, is it possible also to mention similar projects in previous years? Or
No.
only for 22 and
Only
23?
for the two last years. Yes.
Thank you.
22 and 23.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, minimum standard to pass the initial verification is that at least one of the three above conditions must be verified. Then there are further steps which lead us to this grid here, which basically says the following, that the requirements we have used as minimum requirements will also be used to evaluate and therefore create a ranking of all the received proposals. For example, the first 150,000 euros of turnover will be used to, like an entry point, to allow the participation of this economic operator. But in case the economic operator has a higher turnover, we will consider that by giving 1 point for each €1,000,000 above the minimum threshold. So in case this single or associate operator has 12 million euros of turnover, we will give 10 points to them. We will also consider the fractions. So a small SME with 300,000 euros of turnover will nevertheless be scored 1. Same goes for the other criteria, with the difference that in some cases we will have to do an assessment. That's why, for example, we will need the CVs of the people involved, because we will have to read the CVs and decide whether, according to the opinion of our evaluation committee, the quality of each CV provided is insignificant, poor, fair, good, and excellent. Not by itself, but in relation with the goal of the specific lot. So the person can be a Nobel laureate, but in the wrong domain, looking at the destination of this CV. So only for that reason, he may be judged insignificant, not because he or she doesn't have an extremely high value as a person, as a professional, reflected in the CV. So the calculation will lead to 20 points for, as a maximum, for each CV provided. So if you can make it to submit 5 CVs of excellent value, you can score the top of this criterion. And then there are other criteria, including for previous similar experiences, the number and the value in the, as a gateway, as an entry point. We only asked for 1 similar experience without even considering the value of the service provided. But in this case, we go into the specificities and, for example, give 2 points for each contract or 4 points for the quality of each participation. So what is going to happen? I already mentioned it, and I'm coming to the conclusions. We will formulate a ranking before the end of the year for each lot and invite 6 operators or more, because in case of a tie, we will not be strict, and we will include also economic operators that are slightly below the threshold. Our intention is not to be strict in this case, just to create a mechanism that can obviously be improved to formulate a ranking and invite the best candidates to formulate an offer. The offers will be negotiated bilaterally in full confidentiality, and the economic operators invited to resubmit them by end of March, this time accompanied by a financial offer. We plan to award 2 tenderers per lot. After the signature of the partnership agreement, we will pay 50% of the contract price as advance payment, and the remaining 50% will be paid across the year, depending on the details of the partnership contract. So the minimum requirements, okay, Besnik has raised a hand.
Yeah, Francesco, there are 2 questions from Yorgos Samios, if I pronounce well. The first is about the technical and professional ability. So for the 3A clause, he's asking, do the similar services need to be concluded, or ongoing signed projects will be considered eligible as well?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Let's say that we use the word delivered, so we have to probably judge on the specific case. If the contract has just started and there are chances, of course, we wish you good luck, but there are chances that it may not be finalized for any reason. In that case, I find it difficult to say that the applicant has already delivered a similar service. If the contract has been finalized, maybe some retention money is pending, we might evaluate this positively. But honestly, if I think of the interests of the other applicants, and I take one lot of this call for tender, I receive 7 proposals. 6 of them have clearly given evidence of a delivered service, and the 7th one has not. I think that I should give priority to the 6 rather than the 7th, because they have fully complied without any doubt on one of the requirements of this call. On the other hand, you should always remember that having delivered one service is a gateway, but based on the evaluation criteria that I listed previously, I think the best chances of being selected lie with entities that have delivered genuinely several services in the recent past. Again, if as an individual economic operator, you don't see it completely sure that you can meet all the requirements, my warm recommendation is to join forces with someone else, for example, an R&D institution, if you are an SME, and together aim at being more comfortable with the fulfillment of these requirements.
Okay, Francesco, then before giving the floor to Mr. Picker, there are other 2 questions. Again, from Yorgos Samios. Will similar experience of lower value of 150,000 euro be awarded points in number, not value points? Maybe,
sorry,
I don't know, this is clear. This is not clear also to me.
I'm trying to read it from the chat. Do the similar service? No, that's the previous one.
Yeah.
Yorgos is here and can say it loud.
Maybe he can jump
Hello.
in.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm jumping in. Thank you for answering my previous question. It was very clear. You have the selection criteria with a maximum score and the method that you are using to appoint points.
Yes.
So at the end,
yeah,
okay.
I understand. Yes. We are not making here. We are not making reference to the value. So it can also be that the individual experience has a lower value than 150,000, in which case we will not look at the value, but only look at the quality of this experience. So it's 10,000 euros, but it is exactly what we want to replicate in that city. In which case we will give you a 4 to that experience because we consider it excellent. Did I reply to your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Another question concerns let's say, the notion of market recognition. Francesco, if you can explain what do we mean for market recognition?
Yeah, there is an FAQ, so I invite you to look to look for that answer, which I already gave previously. Anyway, a market recognition can be an award that is not a patent, but it could be a trademark. It could be winning an SME competition, an SME contest, having been awarded a small-sized grant by some authority. I think, again, our attitude is not to be strict. Our attitude is to verify that your capacity, especially if you are an SME, has been validated previously by a respectful third party. Our approach is not to restrict competition, but on the other hand, we have to bear in mind that we act on behalf of 8 very important cities of Europe, and we cannot run the risk of awarding this tender to entities that cannot be effective in implementing and performing according to the contract. So it's like a way to say, whatever piece of evidence you can send us, please send it to us, because we will evaluate it with pleasure, positively, in your interest, in the interest of your participation.
Thank you.
So now we have Mr. Picker or Mrs. Picker.
Yeah, thank you. Coming back to the word delivered. So normally in our world, we have to activate systems and then they are running, and the best thing would be if they are running independently and forever. So delivered in this sense, I think if the system has been activated, it is currently still running, but hopefully it has never ended. So what is delivered in this case?
No, we don't go that far. For us, delivery means that a client has paid an invoice or is in the process of paying, depending on the situations. And so there is no controversy on the specific delivery of a sort of service, or in this case, maybe it's a technology facility or anything that resembles to some extent the challenge, the topic of the challenge in that lot. So again, we don't want to take this as a pretext for kicking you away from this competition, quite the opposite. But okay. In any case, we need to know that you have already started your activity in this domain as a business entity, as a service provider. Otherwise, the risk I was mentioning earlier would be probably too high, because we are not in a research environment. We are very close to the deployment and the market commercialization phase, so we cannot give too much room to the so-called garage innovators.
Okay, understood. And the other quick topic was around the market recognition topic we just had. If we have won, let's say, a big tender, so were awarded in a tender. Is this something which counts?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now we have probably, I don't know who came first. Levent Gurgen for maybe. Okay. So
Yeah, okay. So thanks. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, I'm outside. I hope you can hear me well. So yeah, my question or doubt or maybe a clarification, because when I was following this Klimaboro and the call for projects, indeed I saw that it was indeed a quite good fit for startups, right? But now seeing all the conditions that was listed, I see that not so different from a usual tender from a city. So I was a bit now confused, let's say. I mean, we respond to those requirements as far as our startup concerned. We have all the eligibility conditions, but overall, I see that there's a quite emphasis there. If we are talking about innovation, you know, those innovation is by default, normally they are not so much deployed in other places, right? So that we are supposed to have a bit less deployment examples. So if you can maybe somehow clarify this, and if I am my understanding is, yeah,
it's very
because not all startups indeed can respond to those requirements. We are lucky to be one of them, but not all can do that.
It's very simple. I have a mathematical way of contradicting you, Levent. You see, in this grid, there are 100 points available. Only 10 points are given to a requisite like turnover above the minimum threshold, which may be more easily attained by a large enterprise. By the way, definitions of micro and small enterprises go up above 10 million euros of turnover. But let me consider only the case of a startup enterprise with very low turnover, of course, above 150,000 euros. Only 10 points, 10% of all these points are given to requisites that are probably hard to achieve for a startup enterprise. Let me add also this 10%, because it may be that an SME has a weak financial structure, and so they are in difficulty if asked to achieve the 10 points of the solvency ratio above the initial 5%. But for all the remaining conditions, if you read them, I think there are more or less the same chances for an SME, a startup enterprise, or an established company, or research institution, of course, to achieve all these targets. At least this is my speculation. We may have made a mistake, but the only way for us to verify if we were right or wrong is to taste the pudding, no? Wait until the beginning of December and see how many proposals we will be receiving from startuppers and established companies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Just I want to raise this this point to sensibilize a bit that you know, innovation should be also important part of that point. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So who's next?
Yeah, Anastasios.
Athanasopoulos again?
Yes. You said that for phase 2, you will choose 6 candidates per lot, per
Yes.
city, correct?
Yes, correct.
What will happen if for one lot, for one city, you have less than 6 candidates? Let's say for lot 3, there will be only 3 candidates.
We will play with the 3 of them.
Will all 3 pass to the second phase, or you will choose which one of these 3?
No. The procedure will be identical. There will be minimum requirements. So if, unfortunately for them, one of the 3 companies doesn't meet the minimum level of turnover, they will be excluded anyway.
Okay.
But if the three of them pass the threshold, then the ranking will be easy, no? The three of them will be ranked. There will be one winner, symbolic winner, but the three of them will pass to the next phase.
Thank you. Very clear.
You're welcome. Okay, if there are no more questions, let me conclude by saying that a similar mechanism that you have just commented interactively on the financial requirements and capacity requirements will be used to evaluate the technical proposals. So in January, we will be receiving technical proposals from the 6 per lot, which will have been awarded based on the fulfillment of these minimum requirements, which are listed generically in Annex 1, but more specifically are listed in Attachment 2, where the 8 challenges of the cities are described individually. You will have noticed that a similar table to this one has been prepared by each of the 8 cities, specifying that in some cases they are more interested in some requirements, uninterested in other requirements, and normally they have substituted the voids in this table with data, KPIs, and other forms of information. Conceptually, we will welcome proposals that meet the requirements of the cities at the minimum. Then it will be the task of the negotiation during February to convince you that some of the aspects that are important for you are not important for us, and some other aspects that you may have neglected deserve being emphasized in order to be successful. Remember that if we manage to attract 6 participants per lot, you will have 2/3 of probability of being awarded, but 1/3 of probability of being awarded, but 2/3 of probability of not being awarded. So the competition will continue among the 6 of you, and it will be through this mechanism of improving over the baseline of these 15 requirements, much in the same way as you have seen in the case of financial and capacity requirements. This is the collection of criteria, but I don't think it is now the time to go into this detail. One last slide and comment pertains to the IPR. This is a copy and paste from, again, Annex 1, but it makes reference also to an article of the draft partnership agreement, which will have to be signed in case you are awarded the contract. It says that in case the host city, the city hosting the deployment of your solution, is very happy of the solution deployed in its premises, they have the right, not the obligation, of asking you for additional copies of the solution deployed at a price which is not defined at the moment, but will be defined at the end of the experimentation based on a business plan that you will be asked to prepare, where you will put all the costs related to the preparation of these additional copies, and the price, the resulting price, will have to be either accepted by the city or rejected, in which case there will be no purchase of the solution. It's also relevant to mention that you will stay as the sole beneficiaries of the improved solution. After the deployment in the city XYZ, the city itself will never claim any royalty or license fee or any other financial benefit for the future commercialization of additional copies of that solution to other clients. under the only condition that for a limited period of time, any update or maintenance need should be fulfilled free of charge for the city in question by you guys as winners of this proposal. I am done. Now I will stop sharing. If there are any further questions.
Yeah, Francesco, there are other questions in the chat. Some of them has been already answered by us. In particular, Fabrizio Perrota is asking if it's possible to apply to more than one lot, and we have answered yes, of course. Then Yanis Tsampulatidis, sorry, it's asking if in the SPD the number of the lot has to be filled. Where can we find this number or ID of each lot city? So it is in the attachment to specific requirements. So you need only to, let's say, to fill it with the name of the city. So it can be Athens, Cascais, and so on. Then Carla Mereu is asking, what about the quality of the offer? Not considered at all for the evaluation scoring. Maybe, Carla, you reached us a bit later. In this first stage, we are only let's say, evaluating the sum of the. We are not evaluating the technical and financial offers, but only the quality of the tenders. And Francesco can elaborate a bit more on this.
We split up the procurement process in phases. This is the first phase where we want to restrict the number of participants from all those who will present a request to us until the end of this month to 6 per lot. And in order to have this election ready without infringing competition, we have prepared, and I have commented in my presentation today, a number of criteria which only make reference to the professional activity, the financial standing, and global capacity of the tenderer, either as a single entity or in association with other entities. There is no restriction of competition because tenderers are free to create groups. We are not demanding anything in terms of bureaucracy. There are other calls for tender where you are asked to provide a contract signed with your other co-applicants. None of these. We only need to know, in case a consortium is created, who is the leader of the consortium, because we cannot speak to very many operators at the same time without knowing who is the boss there. So this is the only requirement. And therefore, by joining forces, we hope that even the smaller sized entities can overcome their limitations, especially in terms of financial capacity, as we expect from startup entrepreneurs and young SMEs, and so participate in this call with their own ideas, which we really look forward to seeing. But this will be for the next phase, and the next phase will start globally at the end of December, when we will invite 6 economic operators per each lot to present a bid. So that will be when the struggle to prepare a very smart and winning solution will be started, therefore in January and in the following months.
Yeah, then again, thank you, Francesco. Again, Fabrizio Perrota is asking about the right to use the solutions. Will it be transferred directly to the city after the project, or the city has to sign a licensing agreement with the provider? I believe that the answer was given by Francesco in the last slide.
Yes, there is anyway, there is a contract which is named partnership agreement, and it is the first attachment to the tender documentation, which is quite clear. The contract will be signed by the 3 entities, ANCI Toscana, the host city, and at least the representative of the consortium and also other members in specific cases. So in the contract, it is all described, and we believe that under the legal point of view, the only step that is missing is a bilateral step between us as ANCI Toscana and the city in question, because legally speaking, we will be paying the winners for something that is deployed at the premises of the host city, but legally is not the property of the host city. So what is probably missing is an interim agreement, interim before the signature of the final contract with the three parties that I mentioned. But this doesn't involve you, it all involves ANCI Toscana and the individual host cities, where we basically say that at the end of the experimentation, ANCI Toscana is not interested in retaining the property of anything, and they will be happy, and we will be happy to give it to the city for further usage or any other usage that they may envisage.
Yeah, again, Fabrizio Perrotta is asking where we can find the table of the KPIs and the data, so the requirements for the city. So there is an attachment called attachment to specific requirements. Yes. You can download it from our website in the section of the call for tender. Yes. And same also is...
Yes, there is an issue because we probably use the wrong terms, annex and attachment. So the structure of the call is there is a contract notice with two annexes. Annex 2 is the guideline to the platform. Annex 1 is all the remaining documents, which are assembled as the text of Annex 1 plus 12 attachments. So there is a bit of a cacophony between Annex 1 and Attachment 1, Annex 2 and Attachment 2.
Other question by Nuno Rolo is about, let's say, the support email. Where can applicants find support for their questions? So you can always write us at climab@climaboro.eu. So yes. This email can be found everywhere in our documents. Then I would give the floor again to Yannis Tsampoulakidis, please. You have your hand raised.
Yes. I realize that you emphasize a lot to the data sets. So I have two questions. One, if the cities provide already existing data sets of their own, and if yes, how can we contact them in order to find more details about them? And the second one is, we have in mind a solution that uses proprietary data sets. This is something that we have as a consortium in any case. But in order for the city to use this data, and not just the results of the data, but the data itself, they should get a license. Do we need to buy a license on their behalf and provide them? So is this from 150,000 that someone is going to get, we have to calculate an amount for buying data sets? Is it possible or is it out of question?
Okay, you will have to repeat the first question because I didn't hear well.
The first one is if the cities have their own data, own data sets, and if yes, how can we get details and information about them?
Yeah. Okay, in both cases, I recommend you reading the attachment 2, where it is specified, particularly where the requirements of each lot are listed, what kind of data set already exists and what kind of data set is missing, is welcome, and so on. Basically, as I said before, the logic of participation is identical between phase 1 and phase 2. For those of you who will pass the candidature phase, the logic will be the following. We have chosen lot XYZ, and we have this list of minimum requirements. First of all, you should make sure that your solution meets the minimum requirements, all of them. Because if you fail to miss any, even only one of those requirements, you don't hit it, you will never pass to the next phase. So this is of extreme importance. So if you go to the requirements of each city as stated in the attachment 2, you will read that in some cases there are indeed some existing data sets. In other cases, at the other extreme, the city is asking for the procurement of brand new data sets which they are not in possession of. If in that case, the coverage of the required data sets includes proprietary data sets, as in your question, Yannis, this is one of the reasons why we will be paying 50% of the contract price as an advance payment right at the signature of the contract, because we envisage that purchasing data sets may be one of the upfront costs that the solution provider will have to bear. Another example may be the purchase of some hardware. Another cost may be the deployment of sensors, for example, IoT sensors. All of these instances must be included in the total cost of the solution. This is not a research project. This is a call for tender. So we pay against the delivery of a fully articulated and developed solution that is including all the elements stated in the proposal. Then if you think that there is no room for buying these proprietary data sets, you can simply avoid mentioning them in your offer. If nevertheless your offer fulfills all the minimum requirements without the purchase of proprietary data sets, why should you bother? Go ahead without this extra thing, which may also be useless. But during the negotiation, this can be a wonderful case of discussion. You might come to us and say, okay, without the proprietary data sets, we made it in fulfilling all the minimum requirements, but now since we are not here to participate, we are here to win, we might also offer this extra thing, but it's too expensive. So during the negotiation, we might reach an agreement that only part of the data sets you might want to buy for us in principle are really needed by the city in question. So in that case, you would save some money, and we would nevertheless buy a solution that embeds some elements of attractiveness, which may make it a winning solution in the best interest of the city.
Okay, perfect. Clear explanation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So it seems there are no more questions for Francesco. So in this case, I would go ahead with the presentation of the GoodGuns platform, which is the last part of this orientation workshop. So let me just show the screen. 1 second, please. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see the GoodGuns platform. Applicants to this tender will be requested to complete and submit their candidatures only via this platform, the Good Grants. And other ways of performing the submission will not be accepted. Good Grants is a platform that is a web application working and can be accessible and works fine with several browsers, the most common Google Chrome, which I'm using, but also Safari and Mozilla Firefox works fine. So in this homepage, what you can find is some indications about the registration of an account. So you will have to log in to the Good Grants platform. You will receive, once you log in, you will receive a 6-digit number. And once you have entered the platform, you also will be able to, let's say, set up your password. Then on the important information for the phase 1 of the competition, you will find information about the deadline, which is 30th of November, midnight Brussels time. As Francesco mentioned before, this deadline is final, and we don't intend to postpone it, and Good Grants platform will prevent automatically the submission of any candidature after this deadline. We aim to inform the selected candidates by end of December, so by 31st of December 2023. And as also shown during, let's say, our Q&A session, for any inquiry, for any question, you can always contact us at the email klimab@klimaboro.eu. So let me register in the log in the platform. So I will log in. So once you log in, you can start an application by pressing in the button here. So you start application. It's a very easy platform to be used, and we won't ask you, let's say, complicated entries. First of all, you can see on the top right that there is a timer with a deadline. So it's saying that it means there are 10 days and 7 hours before the end of November. So you start in the button start here, and you have to mention in the application name the name of your, let's say, proposal. So I just, for, let's say, as a trial, I can put Klimaboro 2. And then you'll need to specify the location of the city pilot by choosing one of the 8 lots. So let's go for Grenoble. And here you can just save and go to the next page. There is nothing else to do in this tab here. So you go to the next stage where so you are in the tab documents to be uploaded. You have the list of the uploaded documents, or of the documents that you will ask to be uploaded in the platform. So you can click on all this list or on some of the documents, but please do this, let's say, this step after uploading the documents for each of the fields that you see here below, which corresponds to each single official documents of the tender. So you'll have as a point A the evidence of the VAT number, as point B the certificate of a registration in a business register, as point C the copy of the law of establishment in your original language, accompanied by a short summary in English. in point D, the European Single Procurement Document in English. In point E, the informed consent form. So this list corresponds to the list of the documents, of the official documents you can download from our website. So the request for participation is the point F, and the point G is CVs of case staff. Keep into consideration that you can include here only PDF documents. It's not possible to upload any Word or any Excel, so all the documents that you will prepare need to be transformed into PDFs. And the maximum size for each document to be uploaded won't have to be more than 10 megabytes. Yeah, please, Anastasios, I see your hand raised. Okay, I'll go ahead. Anastasios is not asking any question. Then you will need also to provide evidence of other requests from the tender. So the evidence of the delivery of similar services or the appointment of authorized representative in case of consortia or other forms of temporary grouping. You have a field for all other documents that are not mentioned above. So you can provide here any document that you consider important for our evaluation as the market recognition or patents, and you will be asked also to explain briefly what these documents are about. Another field you can use is the one with relevant information for the purposes of your application. So this field has 10,000 characters, which we believe is enough in case you'd need to provide additional information. Then we ask you to provide the name and last name of the person responsible for the submission, together with the email address and the phone number. So the phone number will be optional, but name and last name and email address are obligatory. So in case we need to request you any clarification, we can let's say address you an email or call you in the case you provide a phone number. So I would try just to complete points D, E, and F, which are the ones that are obligatory, and then make a trial about the submission. So I have here the attachment 6. I can drag it here, and it has been uploaded. Same for the E. I'll drag it here, and same for F. And I would also click D, E, and F here. I'm not uploading other documents as they are not obligatory for the purpose of the tender submission, but just my name and last name and the email address. So, and I can save and close, or I can submit the application. So it seems that there is an error. Okay, I need also to select here. Let's try to make the submission. So once you make the submission, you will receive a notification, and we ask you to retain this notification for any need in order to prove your successful submission. But of course, the system registers the applications received. And now I can see I have 2 applications. So the second one, Climaboro 2, I can edit this application also after the submission. So the edit of the application will be always possible until the very end of the deadline. So you can let's say manage to change any document here or update, etc. And once you have done, you just click on save and next, and the application will be edited and saved. You don't need to have a second submission of your application, but it's enough to make a save and next. And you'll see that it's already saved. So it's also 20 seconds ago. It proves that the saving is real, is effective, and also after the submission, it's still possible to edit and save your applications. I would stop here for yeah, I see there are hands raised. So let me just interrupt the sharing. Please.
If you allow me, point
Sure.
A in the documents, you have noted an evidence for a VAT number.
Yeah.
In Annex 1, it is marked that this evidence is only for natural persons, not for companies. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct.
So if I represent a company, I do not have to submit a document in this field.
Yes, you don't have, of course, if you want, feel free. The point is that not all the companies in Europe are in possession of a VAT number. So the requirement for established businesses is the registration in the Chamber of Commerce register or any equivalent register in your country. But it can be the case that some companies don't have a VAT number, in which case they will specify they don't have it, and that will be it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Yannis Sampu.
Yes.
That is okay.
This goes to you, Besnik.
Yeah.
In the form that you have just demonstrated, you have uploaded just one document.
Yeah.
So in the case of a group of companies, as a consortium, let's say, so let's say the nominator, the leader of the group will upload the ESPD for everyone, or each company separately have to create an account and upload their own?
Exactly. Each company has to create the account and upload its own, but please use the same application name and same, answering the same lot or city. So if there are 5 companies for the same application, they need to use the same name and the same lot.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot.
And then there is, I see in the chat, attachment 8 is mandatory for phase 1. Just let me see. Attachment 8 is a request for participation. Yes, it's obligatory for phase 1. Then Yorgos Samios is asking, can we upload only one file in each platform field? Yes, only one file. It's possible to upload only one file of the maximum size of 10 megabytes. In the case you have different files like the CVs I guess you have to group them into one file. You can use, I mean, any program or any platform to do that. It's up to you. Which attachments are mandatory for phase 1 is Fabrizio Perrotta is asking. So the attachments are the ESPD form template, the informed consent form, and the request for participation. Correct me, Francesco, if I'm right.
No, those three plus, of course, there can be additional attachments depending on the cases. So if you are part of a consortium, some of you, typically the consortium leader, will have to upload attachment 9 because it is obligatory in the case of consortia to identify the authorized representative. That is attachment 9. Then, if you want to claim the capacity of your team, you will have to upload Europass template, at least of one resource. So the attachment 12 will become obligatory. Otherwise, you are under risk of not passing the next phase. So the templates I presented earlier, below the line, if you remember, exception being made for the offers, they are all to be considered. In addition, there are further attachments which may be obligatory if you are a natural person, the VAT number. If you are a public entity, the law of establishment accompanied by a translation, a summary translation of the key points of the law of establishment. These are all mentioned in the sections, section 3, basically, of the Annex 1 to the contract notice, which includes all the tender regulations. So my recommendation is to read carefully the Annex 1 and especially section 3. In any case, you will be guided by the platform because, as Besnik told us, there are some fields which are shown as obligatory. And in the case you get confused, don't worry, because after the submission, you still have time to make changes until the deadline. Suppose that you want to submit today, you can do it. And then tomorrow you can come back, you will find your application, and you can make changes or add further CVs or add the law of establishment, which was not there today, and it will be available tomorrow. So take your time, don't be in a hurry, and don't worry, because in case of mistake, we will help you fix the mistakes even at the end, even after the end of the call, after the expiry of the call deadline.
So there are other two questions in the chat, three, let's say. Attachment 4, privacy notice. It is mandatory or it's just part of the whole package? It's
Privacy
to be
notice,
uploaded, I understood.
Privacy notice, it is ANCI Toscana that speaks and tells you the way we will handle your personal data. Corresponding to the privacy notice, there is an attachment 7, informed consent. Informed consent will be signed by you. It makes reference to the privacy notice, but it will be signed and uploaded by you. So there is no need to upload the privacy notice, only attachment 7.
And then in case of CVs that will be submitted in one consolidated PDF file, do they need to be electronically signed by all, or even hand-signed and scanned is enough and acceptable? Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both ways are fine for us. Another question, in case of consortium, is attachment 9 enough, or do we need to also upload a consortium agreement?
No, we don't care about any other documentation. We only want to know whom we should talk to in case of need.
Okay. Then Jana Skokan is asking about the Sophia project, Sophia pilot. How is a building block defined? Good question.
I presume you make reference to the requirements of the city of Sofia. There is indeed a map of the city center, the blue zone, and there are some identifiers for the building blocks. But in case you have you need more information, feel free to send us an email, which we will forward to the city of Sofia, and we will reply to you in writing, while at the same time publishing our reply on the Climaboro website to keep the parity of information to all the participants in this tender. So please send us an email even today after this workshop. Thank you.
So if I can read in the information of on the location of the experimentation in Sofia, the settlement. No, I'm sorry, no, it's not Sofia. No, I'm in another. Just asking. Yeah, it's a blue zone. There is a map with the location of the experimentation area represented by the blue zone. Right.
And there is another question. In case of consortium, do we need to also upload a power of attorney for the appointment of the leader and its representative? No, but depending on the legal systems, the document we are asking for is already a power of attorney. We don't need much else than the information contained in that document, but I think it is possible that you want to use it also for other purposes. So in case you want to add more information, for us, it will be the same.
Okay. So in the chat, I provided again the support email we are using to answer to any question. And of course, after sending you the answer to your question, we will always update our FAQ page so all applicants can find, let's say, all the clarifications in the FAQ page. If there are no other questions, we'll close here our orientation workshop. We'd like to thank you a lot for your participation and for your interest in our call for tender, which is well witnessed by all of the interactions we have had via chat and by voice as well. So thanks a lot for participating at the orientation workshop, and hopefully we'll see your applications in our submission platform in good hands. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.